beyond excited actually to be here with Joe in Sydney, one of the 3 co-founders of Airbnb. And I've just come back from San Francisco, where I had an incredible tour of your amazing offices. And I think for the last 4.5 years since launching Collective Hub, we've done something like 16 to 20 articles on you guys. I feel like there's not an issue of Collective Hub we practically haven't showcased you in. So it is an absolute honor to be sitting here with you
Likewise.
in person today.
And congratulations on everything.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, but let's talk about your trip in Sydney. So you stay in Airbnb properties around the world. Are there any favorites that you've stayed in? Anything that's memorable?
Oh my goodness, I've stayed in Airbnbs in so many countries. I've met so many amazing hosts all over the world. Really, what I've seen is that hospitality is about 90% the same.
Yeah.
No matter where you go, there are a code of ethics and hospitality standards and rules that go back hundreds, if not thousands of years in some places. And along the way, I've met hosts. I've stayed in really interesting places that you would never even think you could stay in.
Yeah.
Like I stayed in an antique tugboat in California once.
Wow.
From 1912, the host restored the whole thing from top to bottom. It was meticulously done. It was absolutely beautiful. These old wood panels. It looked like it was out of a postcard.
Yeah, how extraordinary. What an amazing experience. So let's talk a little bit about the creation of Airbnb, which is obviously not infamous in the startup world. I think there's not an entrepreneur that doesn't look to you guys for inspiration and just following your journey, and not even 10 years in. Can we talk a little bit, which I'm sure a lot of our community will relate to, about some of the struggles along the way?
What struggles? If you build it, they will come, right?
Yeah.
That couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
Of course, I think anybody's putting an idea into the world. If it's new, if it's different, original in some way, it'll take effort and passion and dedication and persistence to really see it through.
Yeah.
And certainly we're no exception.
Yeah.
It would be a complete misclassification to say that Airbnb just created this thing and all of a sudden people started using it overnight.
Yeah.
That was not the case at all. It took about 4 years for it to really start to get to a point where we're like, okay, we've got something here. This is a real business. So,
actually, can I touch on that? Because as I was walking around your headquarters last week, I tell you what, your culture is unbelievable. And everyone was kind of telling different parts of the story. And someone said to me about that 4-year period, and it would be great to hear it in your words, because I'm not sure that I have it right, but I think it was when you first went after investors and you were kind of nearly going under, and you had X amount of people in there, and they said, go out and talk to every single host, and something about taking better photos. And what was that turning point? Like, what happened then?
Well, many people may not know that Airbnb launched 4 times before it actually worked.
Yeah.
The first 3 were complete flops.
Yeah.
They didn't work at all. And the thing is, when you launch something and nobody uses it, you realize you can launch again, and nobody will know the difference. So we launched 4 times, and by the 4th one, we started to figure out the dynamics of how to make this thing work. And it was during one of those launches where, we had, for one weekend, the numbers went up and to the right for a big event in the United States. And so we thought, this is a great time to go talk to investors. We need to raise some money.
Yeah.
And all the investors met us with rejections. It was actually the worst feeling to sit in front of somebody who's picked the Googles and PayPals and YouTubes of the world and the Facebooks to pitch your idea to them, and for them to look you in the eye and say, this is a terrible idea. This is not going to go anywhere at scale.
Yeah.
And you sort of think to yourself, wow, like, are they right?
Yeah.
Is this a bad idea? And so I think in those moments, we were able to always go back to our original experience in our apartment.
Yeah.
Hosting our 3 guests that one weekend in October 2007.
Yeah.
And reflecting on the magic that transpired of guests that came and stayed with us, that got to feel like they belonged in San Francisco. We got to provide hospitality to them.
Yeah.
And in return, we became economically empowered, and we got to save our apartment.
Yeah.
And so when we didn't raise money, it was a very challenging time for us. San Francisco's an expensive city to live in. Our site was making $200 a week in fees.
Yeah.
That doesn't support 3 guys in San Francisco.
Something that really resonated with me right then, it's one of the reasons I launched Collective. I just saw a gap in the market for entrepreneurs, and the story behind the story and something inspirational and aspirational. And I was like, surely there are other people out there who want to connect with this. So every time I got no's, which I got a lot of as well, I just kept going back to that feeling. And it sounds like it was very similar for you, just what you believed in.
Yeah, and one thing I've learned about entrepreneurship through all this is entrepreneurs have a really great knack to reframe things.
Yeah. Pivot, iterate, morph, change.
Well, and every rejection, you can look
yeah.
at it as an invitation to keep going.
Yes.
And you have a choice. You can accept the invitation or not.
Yeah.
And for us, each one of those really painful rejections from those investors was simply just an invitation for us to say, okay, well, they said no, let's go find somebody who's going to say yes.
So now, 4 million listings, is that right, in 191 countries? So that was kind of a bit of a segue that happened somewhere there. Was there a pivotal moment when you just kind of went, actually, I mean, you obviously had that self-belief and tenacity and you kept digging deep. Was there a specific moment or milestone where you just went, I know we're really onto something here. This is something we can scale?
There's 2 moments that come to mind.
Okay.
The first one happened in 2009.
Yeah.
It's during the economic recession, the downturn that really hit people hard in the US and globally. Especially in the US, we had hosts who wrote us about how using our service helped save their home from foreclosure.
Wow.
And we get an email from a host in New York, and it was the first time where we all huddled around the computer and we read this email together. We were a team of just 10 people working out of our living room.
Is that hard to believe now?
It is a little bit crazy to think back to that.
Yeah.
This email too was so unbelievable because the host told us how being able to rent a room allowed them to save their home, giving them the peace of mind to make it through a really challenging financial time where they both lost their jobs.
Yeah.
Their savings were dwindling in the stock market, and it was the first time we saw this additional set of meaning for people and this truly helping people in challenging times.
Yeah.
We ended up getting hundreds, if not thousands, of emails just like that. And we'd print them out, put them up the wall in the living room to remind ourselves that there's more to this than just travel, than just about making money.